Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. I've got a MacBook here. This is an A2337. It's a MacBook Air and it's liquid damaged. So we can see some spots on top here and such. So we're going to fire this thing. Well, we're not going to fire it up yet. We're going to take the back cover off and see if we can resolve this. So I'll just zap these screws out. We'll take the bottom panel off and just see what we're up against. And then I know what kind of video this is probably going to be. The answer to that is spotless. Okay. I'll just disconnect the battery. Right, well, this is looking pretty darn clean. So I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to roll the intro and we're going to take out the logic board and inspect the other side of it. And if that looks clean as well, this might be a very quick job. But yeah, see you guys after the break. So I'm going to start out with a T3 screwdriver. And I'm just going to go around and remove all of the connectors going to the logic board. We've got one for the keyboard and trackpad here. I'll just lift that guy off. That's fine. The battery obviously is already disconnected. We've got a keyboard there. We've got a speaker connector here and the microphone array here. I'll just lift that up. Lift the locking bar and pull that guy out. Oop. Then we've got two Type-C connectors here. So we'll take out the two screws for the little cover plate. And then that guy's going to pop off. We've got the Wi-Fi antennas. Lift those guys out. We've got the display connector. Then we've got two screws up at this end of the logic board. I'll take those out now just so I don't forget. And then we've got another connector here going over to what I guess you could call the audio board. Because it's got the audio. Because it's got the audio circuit on it. And it's also where the Touch ID sensor connects. So I need to disconnect that guy. We don't need to disconnect the Touch ID sensor at this point though, or that speaker. So now I should be able to remove the 1, 2, 3, 4 screws holding the logic board in, and that should come out. And sometimes, and as is the case here, the standoff underneath the screw will come out before the screw does. So just be wary of that. That standoff is going to fall out when I take the board out. Oh, that one is as well. We can put these back in, it's not a big deal. Just something to be aware of. Right, I think we're ready to go. So now I'm just going to gingerly give it a lift. This all seems to be coming out. This thing is really clean. Okay, if there's any problems with this MacBook, then I would say it's the keyboard. Thankfully, I think I might have spare keyboards, so we might be able to test for that. Okay, well, I'm just going to put this straight back in, and I'm just going to see if it turns on in that case. It's rather disconcerting. Right, let's plug in some power and see if it's going to go. Okay, we had 20 volts, then it went off. Okay, so we've got a little bit of power cycling here. It seems to have given up. We did get up to 1.3 amps there. That looked like it was going to go. I'll unplug and plug it back in again. We'll try it again. I'm just going to have a look in the USB ports as well. Those might be sketchy. I'll try the other port. Oh, it's actually cut off my charger. Right. Alright, the second port, my charger just cuts out if I try and plug that one in. What about the back port again? No. I'll try flipping the connector. Oh no, my charger doesn't like that at all. Okay, yeah, no, we got problems there. Right, so that kind of behavior means there's got to be issues with the ports or the USB control chips. I might just try some different ports first, because that's quite quick and easy to do. It'll be the first time I've encountered these ports failing, but, you know, first for everything. I'm going to see if I can I pull those out without taking the logic board out? Will it let me? Come on. Come out. There we go. Oh, those ports look pretty bad. Well, that may well be our problem. Let me give you a close-up of that. So you can see that the inside of those Type-C ports look pretty bad. I'm going to attack those with some isopropyl alcohol and just see if those clean up. If not, we've got some spares. Customer might have a very lucky escape here. Right, I lie. I'm actually going to start with some window and glass because it's a bit better as a cleaner. It has surfactants in it. Alcohol is usually the weapon of choice because it evaporates sort of instantaneously. However, this is a better cleaning agent, so I'm going to attack it with this first, and then I'll go over it with alcohol to clear off any standing fluid, any residues. There's a little bit of rubber backing to these just to make a little bit of a seal. I'm not too worried about damaging that because I'm more interested in cleaning these up. Okay, those tarnished pins seem to have come up quite well. They're not immaculate, but they're a lot better than they were. There we go. Alright, not perfect, but a lot better. Let's give those a try. I tell you what I might do. I might just try plugging my charger wire into those and just see if it freaks out just by being connected to them. Yeah, it does. Yeah, my charger just cut out again. Oh, it's mega off this time. I've actually got to unplug and replug the charger. Right. I'll leave that off for a moment while I just go and get a different Type-C connector. Right. The charger has been reset. I'll just plug my phone into it just to make sure that it's happy. Yeah, that looks good. If you mess around a Type-C charger too much, then there is a good chance that it will just cut out and you'll blow the polyfuse in it. And if that happens, generally speaking, just leaving it unplugged for about half an hour will probably reset it. Okay, right, I'll just try these connectors I've got here. Cool, so there was no reaction to that. We're not expecting anything because it's not connected to anything. But the fact that this hasn't caused my charger to cut out, same deal there. So that adds a lot of credence to the idea that this is knackered. So I shall plug this into the laptop and see if it works. Now I'm kind of being a little bit rude here by sliding it in without removing the logic board. I would not advise this. However, I think, then I might just get away with this and have my 10-minute repair job. Alright, let's try our luck, everyone. Go! 5 volts. 20 volts. Okay, power cycled again. Oh. It's trying. Oh, that's climbing. I think that's charge. That looks like charge to me. Ah, it just made a I'm charging beep. Huzzah. I'm going to open it up and have a look. We need to try the other port and try it in different orientations. Oh, look, customer data. Cool. Well, that works. Right, tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to pause the video for about 10 minutes just so the laptop can get some charge into it. Once the battery has just got some charge into it, so it's not critically discharged, we'll then unplug it and we'll just try it in all the orientations just to make sure it works. And that being the case, looks like just replacing those Type-C connectors has done the job. So this guy is obviously internally shorted somewhere in the connector. There's no more visible issues with it, but presumably it's done some damage inside somewhere. No idea where. I'm surprised that these guys can actually fail, to be honest, because it's just a pin-to-pin connection. But, you know, as I say, I'm sure some people will say, oh yeah, I've seen that before. So, good. I'll see you guys in a moment. Okay, right. It's been 5 minutes or so, and our power level is up to 2.3 amps. So we've got the power out of a... We've got the power? We've got the battery out of a low power state, and it's actually charging at a decent rate now. Might go a bit higher than that. So remember, volts times amps equals watts. So we're looking at approximately 40-45 watt power consumption at the moment. And that sounds about right for a MacBook Air. I think some of these we might see 65 watt charging, but I don't know which models exactly. But 2.3 amps is going to be approximately 40-ish watts. So that means it's actually charging with momentum now. It's not trickle charging. When we were sitting at 1.6 amps and the laptop was powered on as well, that was kind of a very slow charge that didn't look entirely convincing. But yeah, that looks good. So let's disconnect that. And I'll just flip the power connector and plug it back in again. Right, it's gone straight back up to 20 volts. And as you can see, we've got that little staircase back up to charge amperage again. And this is what MacBooks do. And they'll start at a low power draw and they'll step up the charge rate. And they'll keep stepping up until it reaches the point where it wants to be, or the charger says that's enough. So that looks pretty good. Let's try the other connector. And once again, we had a on charge chime there, and we've got that little staircase back up to charge rate. Looks good. I'll just let that settle just so I don't, I don't know if it's possible to confuse it just by constantly hot plugging it, but I can't imagine it does it any good. And flip the connector. So we've just tested all orientations. And there's our staircase once again. Excellent. All right, so it looks like that was it. It looks like they had a splash. I'll need to test the keyboard next. So do I have a password for this laptop? I do. I'll just put the back cover on here for now. I'm not going to commit to putting all the screws back in quite yet, because if the keyboard is knackered, then we're going to be pulling it all apart again. So let's open it up. Okay, so we're logged into this thing now. Our battery's at 10% and rising, so that's looking fine. There's no alerts on the battery. although we'd want to give it a full charge cycle to make sure. And let's just do a quick keyboard check. Just increase the size. 64 will do. Right, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Cool. And shift, the quick. Cool. The quick. Nice. Command A, backspace, volume, brightness, mute, unmute. Yeah, that looks like that's going to work to me. Let's see. Caps lock, tab, tab. Yeah, enter. Happy days. That's simple. All right, I think we're all done here, everyone. I'll stick the screws back in and we're finished. So yeah, that one was a nice, quick, easy one. So I'll knock this out as a quick and easy repair. I hope you guys found that kind of interesting. So yeah, the little Type-C connector here. So there is a very tiny number on this guy. So that's a 821-01658 is the part number for those USB ports. They look completely fine, but if I plug my charger back into those, I'll wager that the charger will just throw a hissy fit again. So yeah, obviously that has suffered some kind of internal short or something. I'm really tempted to put that under the microscope and look closer, but I don't actually care because it's a cheap connector. Put a new one in. See you next time, everyone. Bye.